Welcome to our channel. Before we get started, please consider liking and subscribing so we can bring more stories like this to you.
The storm clouds rolled in like an ominous curtain, darkening the horizon as a violent typhoon barreled toward a remote marine research area. The air crackled with electricity, foreshadowing chaos and danger that would soon engulf the unsuspecting researchers. Waves whipped against the rocky coastline, sending sprays of salt water high into the air while the wind howled like a wild beast. Amidst the brewing tempest, a rogue salvage crew lurked in the shadows of the storm, their intentions nefarious. They had set their sights on a state-of-the-art deep-sea cage housing invaluable marine research. Unbeknownst to them, however, the brilliant marine biologist inside was not merely a captive. She was on the verge of discovering groundbreaking insights about the ocean's mysteries. As the storm raged closer, their illicit operation mirrored nature's fury, both relentless and reckless. Setting the stage for a desperate race against time. As the storm clouds gathered, the rogue salvage crew sprang into action. With practiced precision, they approached the research vessel under the cover of thickening darkness and howling winds. The crew moved like shadows, silent and swift, their intentions clear as they prepared to execute their audacious heist. Inside the vessel, the brilliant marine biologist was immersed in her work, unaware of the impending danger. She was analyzing data collected from deep-sea explorations, her mind racing with excitement over potential discoveries that could change oceanic science forever. Just as she peered through her microscope, a sudden crash echoed through the lab. Pirates had boarded. Chaos erupted as crew members fought back against the intruders. But numbers and surprise favored the salvage team. In moments, they seized control of the research vessel and captured the biologist, dragging her toward the deep-sea cage. As she struggled against captivity, thunder rumbled ominously above, signaling a storm far beyond their control. As the storm brewed ominously on the horizon, Jason Statham's character emerged from the shadows, a seasoned diver with a past steeped in valor. A former Special Forces operative, he was renowned for his quick thinking and unparalleled courage in the face of peril. With an impressive array of diving skills and a reputation for undertaking rescues that others deemed impossible, he thrived under pressure, especially in turbulent waters. When news of the biologist's capture reached him, his instincts ignited. He had once crossed paths with her during scientific conferences, captivated by her passion for marine life and dedication to pushing boundaries in oceanic research. The thought of her trapped underwater ignited a fierce determination within him. As he prepared for the treacherous dive ahead, Jason meticulously checked his gear, mentally rehearsing each step of his rescue plan. Time was critical, and every second mattered as he plotted his descent into the fathomless depths where danger lurked around every corner. Just as Jason finished checking his gear, a frantic distress call crackled through his radio, cutting through the sound of howling winds and crashing waves. The voice on the other end was filled with panic, relaying the harrowing details of the marine biologist's kidnapping. Each word ignited a fire within him, reminding him of her impassioned talks about her research and the invaluable knowledge she had been on the brink of uncovering. This wasn't just a rescue mission, it was personal. He felt a deep connection to her work and admired her relentless pursuit of discovery in an ocean full of secrets. The urgency of her situation weighed heavily on him, amplifying his resolve. With the storm's fury brewing just above, Jason took a deep breath and steeled himself for what lay ahead. He knew time was slipping away and he had to act swiftly before both the storm and the salvage crew sealed her fate beneath the waves. With resolute determination, Jason gathered his diving gear, each piece a familiar companion in his many underwater adventures. He donned a sleek wetsuit, feeling the snug fit envelop him like armor while strapping on flippers that would propel him through the tumultuous waters. His heart raced not just from adrenaline but from an acute awareness of the risks involved. Diving in such extreme weather was no small feat. As he adjusted his mask and secured his oxygen tank, he mentally rehearsed the dive plan. The raging typhoon above posed significant challenges. Fierce currents and limited visibility threatened to swallow him whole. Yet, as a former Special Forces operative, he thrived on adversity. He took a moment to focus, drawing in deep breaths while visualizing the descent, adjusting for waves crashing above and turbulent depths below. Each second counted as he braced himself against the relentless wind and rain, ready to plunge into the chaos below, driven by a singular mission: to save her before it was too late. With a final deep breath, Jason plunged into the icy embrace of the sea, the chaos of the storm above quickly muffled by the roar of crashing waves. Initially, he felt exhilarated, but that thrill was soon replaced by the weight of darkness surrounding him. Light from the surface flickered like a distant memory as he descended deeper. Strong currents tugged at his body, striving to pull him away from his intended path. Every instinct screamed caution as he navigated through swirling eddies. Thoughts racing with the urgency of his mission. Memories of past dives flooded his mind. Moments of glory and instances of near disaster. He acknowledged each fear. Running out of air, losing sight of the biologist's cage, but pushed them aside with steely resolve. The deeper he went, the more was at stake. Not only were they trapped in a cage beneath him, but time slipped away like sand through his fingers, with determination driving him forward. He focused on prioritizing efficiency and precision while battling both nature and his own doubts. As Jason descended further into the abyss, the underwater world transformed into a chaotic dance of shadows and swirling currents that threatened to disorient him. The force of the water pushed against his body, pulling him sideways and forcing him to fight for every inch. He focused on his breathing, steadying himself against the mounting pressure. But the deeper he went, the more he felt time slipping away. Suddenly, a surge of turbulence knocked him off course, forcing him to rely on instinct as panic began to creep in. He fought against the strong currents that wrapped around him like a vice, struggling to maintain direction toward the cage. With every passing moment, he became acutely aware of his diminishing air supply. The nagging feeling of oxygen deprivation loomed ominously in the back of his mind, urging him to quicken his pace. Navigating through the frigid darkness was both daunting and disorienting, but Jason's determination burned brighter than his fears. He had to push through these obstacles. Failure was not an option. Emerging from the darkness, Jason finally spotted the glint of metal. There was the deep-sea cage. Heart pounding in his chest, he swam closer, his heart sinking as he saw the biologist inside. Fear etched across her face. The sight of her vulnerability struck him like a physical blow. She was alive but trapped, her body pressed against the bars as water surged around her. He could see panic in her eyes as he reached the cage, but just as their gazes locked, Jason summoned a reassuring smile. "I'm here to get you out." He signaled through hand gestures and determined expressions, projecting confidence despite the chaos outside. A flicker of hope ignited in her eyes as she nodded in response, clinging to the belief that rescue was within reach. With urgency propelling him forward, Jason expertly assessed the lock mechanism holding the cage shut. His mind raced with strategies while adrenaline coursed through him. Failure was not an option. Not now when they were so close to freedom. With urgency coursing through him, Jason quickly formulated a plan to lift both himself and the biologist to safety. He recalled the airbag lift system he had seen during his training, designed to provide buoyancy in emergencies. Positioning the biologist carefully at his side, he activated the device, feeling the pressure of time weighing heavily on them as he pressed the button. The airbags began inflating with a deafening whoosh, but fierce currents threatened to disrupt their ascent. Jason gripped the cage tightly, stabilizing it against the powerful forces of nature, while keeping an eye on the biologist's reassuring nod. He shouted over the noise of rushing water, "Hold on tight." With a deep breath, he initiated their ascent. The bags worked valiantly against the tumultuous environment, but Jason stayed alert, ready to counter any sudden shifts that could jeopardize their escape. Every second felt critical as they began to rise toward the surface, a blend of hope and adrenaline propelling them forward amid chaos. As Jason and the biologist began their ascent, the airbags expanded and worked against the turbulent waters. But the struggle was far from over. Thunder roared overhead, and a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the chaotic scene, momentarily revealing their path amid the swirling darkness. The relentless waves crashed against them, threatening to disrupt their upward momentum and drag them back into the depths. Every second felt like an eternity as Jason fought to keep the cage stable while adjusting their trajectory. He could feel the rising water levels inside the cage, compounding their urgency. The biologist's eyes reflected both fear and hope, urging him on as he shouted words of encouragement over the cacophony of the storm. With each surge upward, Jason anchored his focus on the surface where safety awaited them just beyond reach. Battling both nature's fury and time, he tightened his grip and propelled them higher, driven by an unwavering resolve to break free from the clutches of danger. With a final Surge, Jason, and the biologist broke through the surface, gasping for air as they emerged into the tumultuous chaos of the storm above. The fierce winds whipped around them and the relentless waves crashed against their bodies, threatening to pull them back into the depths from which they had just escaped. Jason could feel fatigue clawing at his limbs. The physical toll of the harrowing ascent weighed heavily on him. As he instinctively checked that the biologist was still beside him, he was heartened to see her eyes wide with disbelief, mirroring his own shock at their survival. "We made it," he shouted, his voice nearly drowned out by the roar of the storm. For a brief moment, they floated there, suspended between life and danger, adrenaline coursing through their veins as they fought to stay afloat. But reality quickly set in. They were still in peril, surrounded by swirling waters and a raging typhoon. The struggle wasn't over yet. They had to find a way to safety before the storm consumed them both. As the storm began to subside, Jason and the biologist clung to each other, their bodies exhausted but their spirits unbroken. Reflecting on their harrowing experience, he felt immense relief that his instincts and training had paid off, saving another life in the process. The bond forged between them in those perilous moments highlighted the power of teamwork, how cooperation and trust could overcome the fiercest challenges. Jason looked out at the receding waves, pondering the bravery it took to dive into danger willingly. He recognized that each rescue was not just a testament to courage but also a reminder of what he stood for, protecting those who couldn't save themselves. The tumultuous ordeal had deepened his commitment to marine research and conservation. With a reassuring smile exchanged between them, an unspoken understanding blossomed. This adventure was just the beginning. They both knew that amid future storms and challenges, they would face them together, ready to tackle whatever lay ahead in the name of discovery and courage.